College football officially back this weekend with week 0, including a ranked-on-ranked matchup in Dublin, Ireland. Iowa State and Kansas State from Aviva Stadium across the pond, and the Dan Mullen era underway in Vegas, and then highlighted at the bottom there on CBS, Stanford and Hawai'i. The Warriors are favored by 2.5 against the Cardinals. Let's go cover 3 with Tom Fornelli and Chip Patterson, and we're going to start with Chip on all of these games because graphically that's how it all lays out. So we've got Iowa State catching 3 against K-State with a total at 49, and Chip, the total has certainly caught your eye in this one.
Yeah, I like Kansas State to win, but for my best play, it will be attacking the total. First of all, I think Iowa State does play a big role in this because since these two teams played a 29-21 game 1 year ago, that's 50, I think Iowa State has gotten less explosive on offense, and I think Iowa State has gotten healthier on defense, particularly at the linebacker position. Now, because of all the familiarity in between these two teams and the unfamiliarity of the Dublin setting, I think this is a game that's played at the line of scrimmage. I think this is a game that's not decided by explosive plays, but by limiting mistakes. And because of that, I think that we've got, at a key number of 49, a great opportunity to go under at 49.5.
I want to start by saying that I have no problem with college football playing games in Ireland, particularly in week 0 to start the season, but I am fundamentally opposed to taking a rivalry game like Farmageddon and moving it across the Atlantic Ocean. But that protest aside, I kind of along the same thought process as you, Chip. I don't have very much confidence in this Iowa State offense going into the season because this is a team that replaced 2 NFL receivers. And I'm not talking about 2 guys who were taken in the 7th round. I'm talking 2 guys who were taken in the first few rounds of the draft. And as good as Matt Campbell's program has been at Iowa State, they haven't exactly been a team capable of producing NFL stud receiver after NFL stud receiver. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact that has on them going into the year. So I'm going to take Kansas State -3 simply because with Avery Johnson, who got off to a rough start as the starting quarterback last season, going into his 2nd year after I felt he improved as the season went on, as Kansas State kind of faded out of the national consciousness, he's now paired with Dylan Edwards at running back, who transferred in from Colorado, and these are 2 very fast, very explosive rushers. So I look at this Kansas State offense. If you're a defense, you've kind of got to pick your poison when they're running that RPO game. Do you take Avery Johnson or do you take Dylan Edwards? The one you don't take has a chance to take every single ball to the house. I think it's going to be a close game, but I'm going to lay the 3 points with Kansas State. I just have more trust in them right now.
All right, and if you're under with Chip, look for that hook if you can, of course. All right, so we got Idaho State and UNLV. More than 3 touchdown favorites are the Rebels with a total in the mid-60s. And once again, Chip, we've got a total play and a game play. You've got the under in this one.
Yeah, turn out the lights and call me the Undertaker because I'm going to be back on my business here. So first thought, we've got new head coach Dan Mullen. We've got a team full of transfers. And consider me just a little bit carrying a hunch that it might not click here in week 0, that we might be working out the kinks, that this FCS opponent in this spot here in week 0 really might as well be a preseason game for Dan Mullen and this staff to continue their evaluation. I think the goal here is to be able to get a lead and then nurse a lead and get out healthy. And then one last little trend is your friend, Tommy. In their last 7 games against FBS opponents, Idaho State 5-2 to the under. So let's take the trend. Let's take the vibes of the first-year coach with the new roster, and let's go under this big total.
Chip, I love that you're following trends for Idaho State against FBS teams. Again, kind of a similar thought process here behind our picks, but we're ending up with different results. Now, I was on UNLV originally until shortly before we came on the air earlier. I found out that UNLV will be using both transfer quarterbacks, Alex Orji and Anthony Calandria, at quarterback in this game. And as Chip mentioned, this is a roster that is full of transfers. And defensively, the Rebels were a very good team last season, but most of those guys followed Barry Odom to Purdue. The guys coming in this year under Dan Mullen, I have no idea what to expect of them. So with kind of some inconsistency at quarterback, bringing in different guys, and probably some inconsistency on defense, I like Idaho State first half plus 14.5. I think it could take UNLV a little bit of time to get its feet underneath it and really get into a groove and a rhythm. So I like Idaho State in the first half to at least keep it within a couple touchdowns, and then who knows what happens after halftime. And
that's one where the hook certainly helps as well. If we get to Fresno State catching nearly 2 touchdowns, it's 12.5 against Kansas, with a total at 50.5. And guys, it's interesting because when Fresno State's good, they've got the Carr brothers, Jake Haener, Mikey Keene, and now E.J. Warner. However, you guys both like the Jayhawks in this particular spot, Chip, of course, in a first half capacity.
Yeah, I'm going to be isolating the first half. I love that head coach, Matt Entz, that Fresno State hired, former North Dakota State head coach, won a national championship there with the Bison. I think that sort of big picture, I am a buyer of Fresno State. I just think it's going to be really tough for this team to come out of the gates firing on all cylinders in what I think will be, and I'm not kidding here, one of the most raucous Kansas football environments that we have seen. They spent all of last year as nomads away from home while they did all of these renovations, and I've looked at all the hype videos. I've watched the drone flyovers. That new stadium is sweet. So the fans are going to be in there. They're fired up for a bounce back season for Lance Leipold, and I think that they're going to come out guns blazing, ready to go. So I'm going to go Kansas in the first half only because, again, my respect for Coach Entz, my respect for this Fresno State potential that maybe they could kick in this back door. So we'll just go Kansas in the first half. And right now, if you get it, it's under a touchdown.
Yeah, this is a very interesting spot because how many more times in our lives are we going to be able to say that the atmosphere for a home Kansas football game might be more electric than the atmosphere for a Kansas home basketball game? Because with this being the first home game in the newly renovated stadium, that place is going to be juiced. And I look at this Jayhawk squad. I think that, offensively, they have done, even after Andy Kotelnicki left to become the offensive coordinator at Penn State, what Kansas does really well is figure out ways to put your defense in bad spots to force you to make a decision that punishes you. And with a new head coach at Fresno State, a new coaching staff, a lot of new guys and new roles, I think that could lead to problems early in the season before everybody truly figures things out. I think Kansas also has a pretty significant talent advantage on the Fresno State Bulldogs in this one. So I'm going for the full game. I want to stick around for the fourth quarter. I know Chip wants to get out of there at halftime, but give me Kansas minus 12.5. I think they win this game big and pull away late.
All right, let's get a quick cap on Bearcats and Hilltoppers, Chip.
Yeah, we've got Phil Longo taking over as the new head coach at Sam Houston. I think there's an expectation that Western Kentucky is the class of the CUSA, going to blow them out of the water. But this Bearcats program does have a standard where I do think that they're going to come out maybe a game that's a little bit lower scoring than some might think of when they think of Phil Longo. This is going to be a spot where I think that getting 10 in a hook is extremely valuable for Sam Houston.
Yeah, I think it's going to be lower scoring as well. I think Longo is obviously going to bring a different approach than what we've seen from Sam Houston in recent seasons, which has been a team that's kind of been led by its defense for the most part. And I think it's going to take some time to truly adjust to what Longo wants to do with that offensive identity. I think Western Kentucky's a good team as well. I like the under 61.5 here. I think it's just a little bit too high. We're going to finish in that 57-58 range.
All right, got just about a minute left for Stanford and Hawai'i. Chip Patterson, Frank Reich, their full-time head coach.
Hawai'i against the spread in openers is an ATM. So you just go and you keep cashing, You've got to think about what they want to do with that big spotlight. Hawai'i always looking for that reputation building win. This is a great opportunity with an ACC team in town.
Yeah, and this could be a very rough year for that ACC team with Frank Reich coming in as kind of the interim. I don't know. I'm just going to hang out here for a year head coach before they find somebody to be my permanent replacement. I just don't like the roster situation. I do not like the vibe surrounding the Stanford football program right now. I think Andrew Luck will be good for the program in the long run. This year could be pretty rough. Give me Hawai'i minus 2.5.
Yeah, could a full-time interim thing be a gig? And then we're taking a look at their pass defense, which has been atrocious there. For the Cardinal ever since they let Troy Taylor go. All right, guys, certainly appreciate it. Here's a recap. Total plays for Chip. They're both laying the points with the Jayhawks and both taking Hawai'i as short favorites against Stanford on CBS.